The people with the crystal balls have updated their home predictions for home prices in 2024. If you are curious about their predictions and learning about our local real estate market, I hope you will stick around to hear the data. I am Erica Carlson with a boutique brokerage called Bricks Real Estate. I sell residential real estate in the Twin Cities and surrounding areas. I make educational videos about the real estate market, and if you like what you're hearing, if you're learning something new, I hope you will continue to follow along, whether you're finding me on Instagram, Facebook, YouTube. Like and subscribe. I very much appreciate it. If you're thinking about making a move, to get a hold of me, you click on that link. And then when you have all those choices, the very first one will lead you to creating a phone call with me. Of course, pick a time that works best for you. 7 of the leading home price forecasters have upwardly revised their predictions for this year. On average, they now expect home prices to rise by 3.27%. Here's each of the firm's predictions for the home price grown this year. Notice that Goldman Sachs is going to a plus 5%, whereas NAR, or the National Association of Realtors, on the lower side at 1.9%. That's why this is just an average. And again, it was 3.27% is the average. So this report is definitely important to consider. I know that people often think that there's a better time if I wait. It's going to be better. The interest rates are sort of high right now because they're in the sevens. So if I wait, it'll be better. We've talked about this before. It's not necessarily better because the people that are waiting for the sixes and the fives and hoping for the fours again, we understand, but as those interest rates come down, more people will come out house shopping. Not just because people are waiting for these things. That's a little simplistic. I also think there can be just a coincidence of timing, but more importantly, it just makes a lot of people that can't afford to make the move, it just makes it more affordable for them. What we forget about is house prices rise as that competition comes into play. So it isn't necessarily more affordable at all. And of course, talking to a local loan officer, you can establish some of these things. Don't assume that they're just, yucky salespeople that only have their own interests and heart. A good local loan officer will look at all sides of this with you and help you figure out how to make this affordable and how it makes, best sense for you. But what we are always thinking about is if I wait for it to be X interest rate, it doesn't mean house prices are cheaper. In fact, it just goes the other way. So I don't mean to berate the topic, but it's just kind of basic economic principles on this topic. We're still just really behind on the home building. The inventory is extremely low. These things are just, building up to create, these inventory topics. So speaking of, when you consider all of your options as, as a person does when they want to move, do not overlook new construction. They are offering concessions, rate buy downs, sometimes even below market rates. So, overall, if, push came to shove and you asked me my opinion, I'd say buy now, refinancing later would make sense if that works for you. Of course, there's just no guarantees on that topic. Okay, it's March 6th, and we're going to look at what's happening in Wright County. We'll also use this to look at Hennepin County as well. So let your eyes kind of go on this only column I'm really showing at this point, which is we have 443 active properties, 394 of those do not have any sort of contingency. This sounds like a lot of properties. As we scroll back, we see last week we had more at 461, and then the week before was lower than even this week. So we're here in these 400 numbers. It takes until December 13th, I should say, before we hit the 500s. So there was more inventory pre-Christmas time, and it's been in the 400s since. If we go back to March, if I can find it here, of last year, okay, we were at 430. Now, I wasn't doing the same sort of data collection, so I assume that's the ones without that was probably total, not pulling out the contingencies, but it's still interesting to see that they were in we were in the 300s prior to March 7th of last year. And now we zoom ahead And we're almost to the 500. So it's relatively nice out there in that sense. Jumping over to pendings, they're kind of in the same area, right? We were in the hundreds, or, again in February, January, because just as not as many people go under contract October, November, December. So of course those sales slow down. And then now that we're back in the 200s, that shows you things are picking up again. Closed sales, they're just a little over last week at 129. They were 124. And we're going back, February 14th was awfully slow. So was January 31st. Again, absolutely no surprise on these numbers. We expect closings to go down, pendings to go down in those cold winter months, and then they pick up. Jumping to showings per week per listing. I promise you I'll convert this to English in just a moment. If you're looking at Wright County, it's 2.8 showings per week per listing in the 250 to 500K residential range, right? And then if we compare that to Hennepin, they're getting 7.1. So speaking in plain English, if you had a house for sale in Wright, you would expect like 2 to 3 showings per week on your listing. Again, if you're under 500K. Hennepin is moving significantly faster because they're getting about 7 showings a week in the same price point. This is very predictable. We talk about this every week. We anticipate Hennepin County to always have a faster moving market, more buyers, more jobs in the area, higher population of people. Absolutely no surprise. We partially use these two counties because it's where I live, it's where I work. It's also an interesting juxtaposition between more of a metro area versus a more rural area. And so it just shows you how things are if we look at the same price point. And so again, if you had a friend selling a house in Hennepin, and let's say they were in Coon Rapids, they're probably going to get more showings, more offers, etc., than the same house in Wright County. There's no surprise there. So there's a pretty big change. When we compare that to last week, it was a little bit better for Wright and a little bit worse for Hennepin. You can kind of let your eyes follow the data back. So there's not a lot of surprise there. Now let's jump all the way back. Remember I said 2.8, or let's say 2 to 3 for Wright. Let's go back to March of last year. And it was moving faster for Wright, not by much, about 4 showings per week. And then it was, and I actually, let me update that. I'm not sure what the month means. So it was 5.47, so significantly faster. Four was faster, but obviously 6 is even faster. But then Hennepin was at 13.5. So that's remarkably different. I can't tell you why there's such a huge change between last year at the same time. I mean, it's like actually kind of shocking to see those numbers are so different. Would somebody have been shopping last year that's shopping this year? Yes, maybe there's a few people that fall in that category. You could maybe interview them and say, does it feel different? Well, according to that data, it should. It should have been a lot more aggressive in terms of multiple offers. Anecdotally, let's put the data aside. As somebody who helps buyers and sellers every day, it is a harder time to buy a house for the home shoppers. There's a lot of people out there shopping for the same properties. We're all competing for the same adorable houses in great locations that are priced right. That is always a problem, but this time of year, it gets to be more challenging. You need to anticipate mentally for it to be rather, and I'm just using the word challenge. I think that's the best word to use in this. It's not impossible. I didn't say quit. I don't think stop. I think that you should just prepare yourself for the challenge of multiple offers, especially in the Hennepin County area or Ramsey, or again, the major metropolitan first tier, second tier suburbs are going to be a lot more aggressive than as, the donut or the circle kind of comes out. It will be easier to get under contract. That doesn't mean those are areas you want to live in, so it might be irrelevant. This is going to continue until about Memorial Day. We do wonder if it's going to peak a little bit earlier this year. So speaking to my home sellers, if you have been on the sideline, you may want to push your timeline up. We may peak a little bit earlier this year, just because we're seeing some more buyer activity than we have at other points. So, if you have a plan, stick with your plan. But the best time to sell a house is going to be March, April if you want top dollar, the most amount of showings. That's when you want to focus on your house sale. Days on market, again, this is for Wright County only. Median is 20, average is 46. You can see every week it jumps around. These are based on pending sales. These are houses that are actually going under contract. That's why I like to use this data. This is just the last week. No particular price point, just overall 20 to 45 days to sell your property. You know, it's just very generic. So again, if you're going to sell your house, work with your real estate agent to understand that so you can appropriately prepare yourself. Not all houses are selling the first weekend. It doesn't mean there's something wrong with it because it's been on the market 45 days. Don't be quick to judge. Don't be quick to assume there's something wrong. Just ask questions, dig in, and decide if it's the right fit for you. That's all I have today. If you made it to the end, I appreciate you. Again, my link is here. I'd love to set up a time to talk and meet with you. Again, click that first link to make an appointment. And if you'd like to get pre-approved, financing is always smart to do before you look at houses. Reach out to Molly Zimmerman at mollyzimmerman.com. Have a great week. I will see you next Wednesday.